Hello, and welcome to Running Behind. I'm Joey Metzger, your host and key grip for life at the back of the pack. I'm not quite sure why they agreed, but today I am honored to be joined by Dylan Harris and Drew B. Darby. Dylan is a well-known filmmaker and the creator-director of the feature film The Chase that covered the 2024 men's race at the Cocodona 250. Drew also has quite the resume with clients that include household names like Sally McRae and Heather Jackson. In 2024, Dylan recruited Drew to collaborate and help him on The Chase, and in 2025, they teamed up again at Cocodona to create another masterpiece. The film is called The Cutoff, and for all of us normal folks who constantly find ourselves at the wrong end of the timing clock, this is the film for us. It tells the stories that don't usually get told and does it with a level of production that is rarely seen. What you end up with is an amazing piece of cinema and might just be the most unique take in the genre since Unbreakable. I promise you, the film is fantastic and so is the conversation. So get your shoes on for your long run and heck, bring your Sachtler tripod with too if you need it. But it's time to hit the trail. Welcome to the podcast. I've got Dylan Harris, the director and creator of The Chase and now, soon to be released, The Cutoff, and Drew B. Darby, who is also a cinematographer and collaborator on both of those films. I've got them both here with me to talk about Back of the Pack and what the hell it's like filming us at the back of the pack. I cannot wait. Just to give you guys a little background on me, I know you're probably not listening to the podcast. I've got 60 listeners, so just know you can say anything here and barely anybody will hear it. It won't get back to Sally, won't get back to, anybody you're dealing with, so it's all good. I do have a friend at Tim Tollefson though, and he does listen sometimes, so that's the only one you got to worry about. I met Ben Mead. So Ben Mead did a podcast. You guys met Ben with Tony's crew. He did this great podcast years ago called Chasing Cutoffs, and Ben is spectacular and super talented. And then he stopped. I was like, I reached out to him, and the best thing I could do was to try to do a podcast of my own. So he encouraged me, started doing it. Ben and I became friends. I followed him through the 2024 Cocodona, and then during the 2025 Cocodona, I was texting Ben, and literally as Tony was hiding out in a bathroom with his daughter in the deluge of rain somewhere north of Whiskey, I was texting him, and he was like, yeah, we're just trying to dry out. So I was behind the scenes on this, and then I, of course, had him on my podcast last year. So welcome, guys. I like to do a little thing as kind of an icebreaker. I like to do these little one-word answers. So I'm going to start with you, Dylan. Give me one-word answer. Who is Dylan the person in one word?
Growth.
Growth. I don't think I've gotten that one. Drew, now you've had time to think about it, so I'm going to give you a couple of them. Drew the person, one-word answer.
Drew the person, one-word answer, obsessive.
Like it. Now I've got a couple more. One-word answer, Drew the runner.
Oh. Underperforming is probably a bad one.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. You
or
can
undirected.
use that.
Undirected, directionless.
Well, we will allow that. Dylan, give me one word answer for you as a runner.
Health.
Okay. And
my strategy.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, Drew and I know each other good enough where we should be answering these for each other. Would be hilarious.
Oh, okay. Let's do that. Okay.
Oh
no, you brought it up. We're going to do it. Dylan, give me one word answer for Drew as a filmmaker.
Oh, dang. He already used it.
That's fine. You can repeat a word, but.
Gosh, I'm only thinking of that is such a.
You asked for it, buddy.
I did. I mean, obsessed is really good, honestly.
Okay. All right. Go with your gut.
my vocabulary is so limited, and I have an idea in my head, and I can't find the word for it. But
If you think of it later,
relentless. I think
relentless. Drew is relentless as a filmmaker, according to Dylan. Okay, Drew, you're up. Give me one word, Dylan as a filmmaker.
Oh, it's got to be underrated.
Underrated. Wow.
Underrated.
Okay. All right. Well, I think you're both of you guys are very highly rated. I love your stuff. I have, we're going to get started here. I want to go through your guys' backgrounds a little bit, how you got started filmmaking, trail running, all of that. Talk a little bit about the chase, how you guys kind of came together. And then, of course, a lot of questions about the Cutoff. Full disclosure to my audience, Dylan sent me a link. I watched the Cutoff. I'm going to try to not, give away a lot of things. So you just let me know if I've given away too much. I'm going to try to hold back, ask these questions like, I don't know what the fuck it's about, but we will get to there. So let's start with this. I'm going to start with Drew. Drew, what came first, running or filmmaking?
Filmmaking came first. Filmmaking came way before. I've never wanted another job. I mean, it started with dad gave me the camcorder in like middle school to just mess around in the summer, stay occupied.
Really?
And running, other than a misadventure for a half a season of middle school track, which did not go super well. Running did not come into my life really until I was an adult, until around 2020, 2021.
Okay. Very nice. Dylan, how about you? Was it running that came first and then the filmmaking, or what preceded what?
Well, I did grow up playing soccer, and there was a lot of running involved in that. And I've thought back on it, and I actually was kind of the unique kid in middle school where I actually went on runs as like a 12-year-old. Like they're like 30-minute runs, but I just cared about soccer really, and I thought that would help me. But no, in the big scheme of things, it was the camera. The camera introduced me to the trails. It made me want to go explore, and so that introduced me to backpacking, through hiking. It ultimately turned into, and then I discovered trail running because I got so into through hiking that I wanted to see if I could not just like suffer into fitness on these through hikes, but instead actually like get some fitness before the through hikes. But it was the camera that kind of led me to all these places, to want to go and explore. So.
And was it a photography camera, or was it right away filming with like a video camera, or was it still photography that kind of got you started on it?
For me,
Yeah, you did. Sorry.
so it was just photography. Yeah, I went to school for journalism. I didn't complete it, but I did 3 years, and like a semester in, I discovered photojournalism, and I was just like, wait, I don't have to write any more papers. Like, I just learned this camera thing, and I was all in when I discovered photojournalism, and I convinced the school to let me take more photo classes as my electives. So instead of taking, these random classes, I was able to take all these different photo classes to kind of learn more. So, yeah.
Drew, is that the same for you in college? Did you take up photography, or what did you study in college to get you to this point in your career?
Yeah, I studied film and media, and I studied marketing. The film program I went through was very theory heavy. So a lot of watching movies, a lot of writing about them, but not so much hands-on. We actually only had two or three hands-on classes that
Okay.
I more or less kind of ended up teaching by the time I was a junior, senior, further
Okay.
on. The marketing side was super practical, was very applicable to what I do now. But yeah, I went through a little bit more of a theory heavy and was kind of just learning the hands-on on my own and with friends who were also in the program who were like way more interested in that necessarily than black and white silent movies and writing about how they make you
Right.
feel.
So you were watching films like The 400 Blows, things like that,
You
all
know,
those
if it
old
was made after
classics.
1950, we probably haven't seen it. That's
Got it. Got it. So Drew, after college, did you step right away into a career in media filmmaking, or was there some other jobs you kind of did before you got to kind of doing the film thing full time?
Yeah, I went pretty much within a few months of graduation right into a full-time in-house creative job at a nonprofit in the criminal justice space. And so, yeah, it was right away plugged in, making, at that job, 100 to 150 videos a year, traveling all over the country, and just like really, that was the real like start of getting reps in. I mean, like with college, I was just trying to make whatever, those kind of things. But that first job was just over and over and over getting the reps in on very more traditional documentary and corporate
Yeah.
style content.
But that's building your chops, though, right? You building a lot of the basics there.
For sure, for sure. Yeah.
Probably wasn't your passion, though. You hadn't found like these are the films I want to make for the rest of my life.
I mean, I enjoyed it a lot. The challenge with being in-house anywhere is that, like, after 4 years of that, I had told the stories that I wanted to tell inside of that
Yeah,
box. And, like,
yeah,
while I enjoyed them a lot, and they're still stories that I'm super proud of to have been involved with, yeah, like, kind of just needed to tie a bow on that chapter and
yeah,
look for a different kind of sandbox to play in.
yeah. How about you, Dylan? Did you right away after college? I know you and I didn't complete our colleges. We'll keep that between us. But did you step right away into a film career, or was there a couple of steps to get to that point?
No, yeah, there was a lot of steps actually. So for me, I always struggled with school a lot. And I now know that there's pros and cons to that experience. The pros were, well, the cons are obvious. Like school was difficult for me. I didn't go right to college. I actually just worked. I largely worked two jobs at a time. Worked in machine shops. I was just like figuring it out.
Yeah,
So when I went to school, um, it had to be something that I cared about. And after, I'm sorry, can you repeat the question again? I started losing. I got too caught up.
I'm right there with you. It took me almost 20 years to find my career. I'm in facilities. I'm a director of facilities for a corporate company here in the Twin Cities. And my question is just kind of like when you left college but what were the steps to get to filmmaking? Was there a lot of other odd jobs? Was there a couple little things that kind of triggered that? Or did it happen? Like for Drew, it happened overnight. For you, it didn't. Sounds like.
Well, no, that's right. So I guess where I was going with all that is I learned largely what I didn't want to do. I worked a lot of different jobs. I knew what I didn't want to do. And I knew that if I was going to do something, regardless if I liked it or not, it was going to be difficult because if I didn't like it, it was going to be super challenging. And if I loved it, I would ultimately probably push myself, and there would be challenges in that sense as well. And so when I first started using a camera, I was obsessed with only the things that I was obsessed with. And you couldn't really get me to shoot a wedding or family portraits. Ultimately, I did to survive a few times, but it was completely out of my comfort zone and I fought it a lot. And so it took me a lot of years till I got my first paid job. Um, I was really, the first space that I was really excited about was the thru hiking space. And it's funny when I think back on that because in thru hiking, all of your favorite companies, and I feel like this is kind of starting to work this way in running too, but are these like small companies, these like mom and pop shops that make, they're always out of stock, they have
Yeah.
no marketing budget at all. And, you know, um, I was a total dirtbag at that point, and I was just excited on anybody who was excited about me. So it was a long journey of, I would say what I didn't have and how my story differs from Drew is that I didn't have reps. I was mostly shooting like landscapes and friends and trying to emulate, like in the early days of Instagram, I was trying to emulate photographers that inspired me. And it took a while before I got I think I had lived enough life till I felt comfortable being in working with a camera in front of people. It took me a long time to be comfortable with that, um, but I think I needed it. So,
Were you
you know,
worried about like what they thought, or they're gonna? Because this, I always have this. They're gonna think I'm a fraud. What am I doing? I'm not good at
well,
my job. Was it just a fear of you wanting to get it perfect, or
I mean, dude, just growing up, like I was the kid where, I never got asked to babysit anybody's young kid. You know what I mean? I was a complete, for lack of better terms, I was just very irresponsible, let's say. I didn't have a path, I didn't have a direction. I always say, like, I don't know if my brain, if I had like conscious thoughts till I was like 24 years old. Everything before that, I was just like trying to do things that I thought were cool that would maybe like introduce me to new friends that I was, thought like, so for me, I had a lot of growing up to do in my early, well, not through my 20s, basically. I would guess in the first part of my 20s, I had a lot of growing up to do. And I think it ultimately, I've learned now, I think it is a confidence thing. It's just like, for me, the more and more reps I get, and I know this is this way for most people, the more comfortable I feel like, oh, I've been in that situation before, I can do that thing. But early on, I didn't have that. And the anxiety for not only the gear, but like when you're in that moment, am I going to remember how to use the gear? And all these people are relying on you. It's like, oh,
sure?
what if this doesn't work during, you think about
Yeah,
everything that could go wrong early on. And that like consumed me in the beginning for a while, honestly.
yeah,
So
yeah,
shooting with
yeah,
friends and stuff, got reps that way, low
yeah.
pressure.
I'm going to come back to you, Dylan. Drew, what was your first? So, what's your first job you get as a filmmaker that's related to trail running, or maybe with an athlete? And I've listened to some of your guys' podcasts, so I know some of this shit, but not all of my listeners know all this. I've got a sister in Madonna in Manhattan who listens to this, and she knows nothing about trail running, but she loves it. So I always say, for Madonna in Manhattan, Drew, what was your first job you had in filmmaking that was related to trail running?
Yeah, in 2022, I made the move over here to Austin to work in-house at a sports nutrition company. And that would have been the first time. I mean, I had shot kids' sports camps, but like that was the only sport of any sort that I had ever filmed. Um, but made the kind of genre change shift, moved here to Austin and did a few little commercial things. But the first running project I worked on was a documentary called Choose Strong that we made in-house at that company with Sally McRae,
Now, is
longtime
she a
pro
trail
athlete.
runner? Is she a local
Yeah,
trail
yeah,
runner?
yeah. She's run a few trails in her day, I believe. Though most famously known for a road ultra marathon,
Yep.
the Badwater 135. But yeah, we followed a good
Okay.
friend of mine, Tyler McCain, and I followed Sally through a challenge that was made up of a bunch of races, but less about the race results and more about the endurance of running a whole bunch of miles, a whole bunch of 100 milers back to back to back. And that got to, the heart of what I love about a good running film is that like that, the running was a metaphor for talking about her processing the death of her mom and then like, she's turning the age that her mom was and like kind of just this big personal journey set against the backdrop of running a whole bunch of miles. So that was, yeah, I was put on that film on about like 6 day notice and then kind
You're
of
kidding.
ended up living it for the next
Wow.
3 months of my life, including 8 weeks to go from like raw footage to finished film. So that was it was a huge learning curve, a huge learning process. But still to this day,
Yeah.
I mean, one of my favorite stories that ever
Yeah.
came together. Like, I mean, I would
So
love like two more weeks to work on it, but
yeah. So you've obviously done a ton of stuff with Sally. You know, you've done stuff with Heather Jackson. I just watched her bike movie where she did Unbound XL that you did. You jumped right into it, man. No dipping your toe. You were right into it. How about you, Dylan? What was your first job filmmaking you did that had to do with trail running? or a trail running product or person, or what was the first one that you remember? You were like, oh shit, yeah, this is it. This is my niche. This is what I'm gonna do.
So I through hiking, I got introduced to Jeff Garmeyer, who, do you know who that is?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And he at that time he hadn't really like I think he had maybe done like one ultra marathon at that point, but he was a thru hiker. He was a fast packer, an FKT thru hiker, and he was going for the unsupported FKT of the Colorado Trail. And when he asked me if I wanted to come make a film on his FKT, and that is the opportunity that led me to quitting my job at that time. And I went and did that project. That project took like 2 years to put together. So I didn't even, but I put together a little director's cut from that. And I think it was like maybe 2 months after that, I was like, what have I done? Like, I'm freelance now. Like, how do you get a job, And never heard of Air Viper running, although I had ran 2 of their races at that point. But, I don't pay attention to stuff like that. So I had like 4 or 5 people send me, they put out like a Instagram post or something that they were hiring for a doc filmmaker. And I had like 4 or 5 people send me that and said they thought I'd be a good fit. And I sent them the director's cut I did on Jeff Garmeyer's FKT, and Jamil loved it, and he hired me immediately. And so then I worked for Aravipa and Jamil Curry making doc films for 2 years.
Dylan, did you do the one? What was the first year of Cocodona, and was it Eric who did the one called Running Home? Was that you, or was that somebody else?
Yeah, the Long Way Home. Yeah,
the
I
Long
made that.
Way Home. Was that you? Oh God,
Yeah.
I love it. That was the first time I saw Cocodona. I'm like, oh my, I can't run this thing. I mean, I'm as slow as shit. I didn't start running until I'm 50. I'm 58 now. So I'm like, but of course I've got friends like Tony and Ben that do it. I love that film. That was so great. And then Dylan, you've also done, and I don't want to spend all the time talking about your other films. I want to get to The Chase and The Cutoff, but you've done work with Solomon as well, right, Dylan?
Yeah.
Because you did Lucy's Dad, which is one of my favorite films because, well, I love Lucy, always love Lucy, and then her dad, he's like my age, and watching him do Western States, I was just, oh my God, I was so moved at that thing. I tried to will him across the line. You did that. How did you get involved with Solomon?
Yeah, it was actually through Jamil Curry. He had some kind of partnership with them, and he used to like film things for them back in the good old days. And he invited me out to help him film at like Broken Arrow or something. So I helped them do that. And it wasn't too long after that I went freelance, and they wanted to continue to work with me. So I worked with Solomon North America. So they're North American athletes. And then I worked with Golden Trail. And that opportunity for Lucy's Dad was, at that point, it was really big for me. Getting an opportunity from a brand that I really looked up to Solomon is unique in the sense where you can look back at their portfolio and you can think clearly of the filmmakers who existed in different eras of their kind of media existence.
Sure.
And almost all of those guys are a total inspiration. I think Solomon has worked with some really cool and unique people over the years.
Yeah.
And when they asked me to do that, that's what I felt. I felt that. I was like, whoa, like I want to make this, and I want to make the next one and the next one. I want to work with them for like 5 years. But then they were like, yeah, we just want like they were like, we want to try something new. We want like a 3 to 5 minute like doc thing that would just go to Instagram. And I was like, I don't know what that means, but I'm going to do it. Whatever. And just the circumstances of the event and what had happened. Luckily, the whole Solomon team was there. And I was like, hey guys, this could probably be like a 25-minute film. I'm pretty sure you all just saw that and you're all still crying. I filmed all of it and they were immediately like, yep, let's do it. Let's go all in. So that one's pretty funny because that video was supposed to just go to Instagram.
Yeah.
I was told to film it vertically. And
Oh.
literally, I was driving over there with my buddy who was helping me. He was co-directing the film with me. And it was him that was like, dude, we can't film this vertically like that. Like, what if something amazing happens? He was the one who suggested that. And I was stressing about it. And eventually we just decided to film it horizontally. But it would have never been a film if
Wow.
I filmed it vertically. Just,
Yeah. All the
it's just-
stuff you would have missed. Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
That's why you never film vertical. That's why you never
I
film.
never will.
I
No.
do that too, guys. I'm not a film. Please don't call me. I'm not a filmmaker. I have a little YouTube channel, and I film some of my stupid runs where I try to finish these races, being a 58-year-old slow guy, and even I as an actor, I used to do a lot of films, and I had a buddy who was a filmmaker. We did little short films, and I never understood this filming with your phone vertically for Instagram. You know, my wife, everybody does it, and I'm like, no, you're missing. I'm not an expert, but I know you're missing all the shit. You're missing all the stuff. So crazy.
I just came off of 3 vertical only projects, and
Oh my God.
I don't know. It's messing with my head a little bit. It makes me
Yeah.
feel I
Did
don't
you,
know.
did
Anyway,
you guys,
that's
I want to, oh God,
that's
I
a
can't
tangent.
imagine.
That's a tangent.
And I know, I can only imagine as a creative person, you film all this footage, and I know what that's like. You've got hours and hours and hours, and somebody says you've got 4 minutes. You're just probably going, how do I even edit that, right? As a creative person, you just probably must drove you crazy. Hey, did you guys work together? Dylan, I think it's on your Soma Collective channel, the Callie Vincent video about her dog. Did you guys do that together? Do I understand that correctly? Is that the first time you guys worked together on that? Or was that after the chase?
Yeah.
That was after the chase.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was.
That was
Okay.
yeah, the winter after the chase.
I'm a dog person. We don't have kids, and I cry every time I watch that. I'm just, oh my God. I should have said hi. She was at Mammoth. And Drew, you were at Mammoth. We'll get to that last year, Trail Fest. Love that film. Okay, so we're going to wrap up and get to Cocodona and Jamil and Aravaipa. One last question, Drew. What the hell's with the cliff diving? Good God, what is it? Is that you diving off those cliffs on your channel?
Wow,
Dylan, have you
just-
seen this? Have you seen
did
his
a
films of
deep
cliff diving?
dive. That's
Oh,
funny.
My God.
Is it, I don't
Yeah.
what is it what is Joey talking about, Drew?
That's I mean, that's high school, early college. No, I was never much of an accomplished cliff diver, but had a lot of fun shooting that, messing around with friends, doing all that sort of thing.
Dylan, go check out his YouTube channel. Go scroll to like the oldest, and it
Yeah.
starts with this insane cliff diving shit. And I'm like, how did they not die? It's nuts. I forget what the film you made out of it called, something about something happened that summer, or the moments of
Yeah,
the
I think
summer.
it was. I think it was back when
Oh,
we
God.
all just made like little movies out of our summer, like the old Sam Colder days. Yeah,
All right.
That's
that
awesome.
was a funny one. Yeah, I didn't show my mom that video for a while. There's some climbing water towers, jumping off of things. I don't know.
It's insane. All right, so let's get down to Arizona. So you kind of explained how you met Jamil. You filmed you filmed his movie, and then how do you come up with The Chase? That was filmed in 2024. Was that you and Jamil who said, I want to do a film, I want to follow the front of the pack? How do you come up with that concept? And then we'll get to how you get Drew involved and how you put your crew together for that.
Yeah, so I think the most appropriate thing to say to answer that question is that I didn't come up with the concept. Jamil didn't come up with the concept. And many people in our industry have revisited the concept. I think Jamil was the one who wanted to follow through with it and felt that there was the right opportunity. The concept comes from Unbreakable, which is a film that J.B. Bena directed and produced from Western States back in, what was it, 2011, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
2011 year?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's so special about that film is that it's done in a little bit more of like true documentary fashion. They didn't just highlight the race, but they told the story of ultra running and of these people. They put these people up against each other, and they established who these athletes are as these elite athletes, but also they established where they come from and who they are as people. So by the time the race started, you were rooting for somebody, you connected with somebody, right? And then you could follow them and watch that race unfold. And it just so happened that that race was really exciting. You know, you never knew what you were going to get. And it ultimately unfolded the way it did, right?
Yeah.
That concept has sort of vanished in the sport of ultra running, I believe, and I've talked about this a few times, but as the sport is growing and as the industry is growing, right, the marketing is also growing within the sport. And a lot of, back in the day, like there was filmmakers who were in it for the passion, right? And they were working with people that they were maybe acquaintances with or connected to, and that would then fuel a story. But nowadays, a lot of the creatives, they are connected to lots of people in the sport, but those athletes are a part of big contracts. They're sponsored by big brands. There's races they have to run. And a lot of those brands, they're not interested in their athlete being a part of, I mean, I'm sure they would support it, but maybe not financially, of being a part of a larger story with different athletes from different brands, things like that. And so ultimately what we're seeing a lot of over the last like 10 years is more and more films about a certain athlete's race who runs for a certain brand, or a few athletes who all run for the same brand. And so Jamil, it took somebody like Jamil Curry who has those dollar bills, you know what I mean? But also
these things aren't free, folks. They don't happen free.
He might be poor. We don't know.
Oh yeah.
It could be a drug trade. I have no clue. But no, he has influence in the sport. And Jamil, like, I don't know what other people think of him, but he is addicted to story, and he's addicted to the story of ultra running as a whole. But also, you know, he's funny because he doesn't react. He's unique in the way he reacts to things, but some of the best reactions I've ever gotten from Jamil is when I just sit behind him and watch him watch a film, an ultra running film. Like, I mean, he doesn't even blink, and he laughs and he'll tear up and he'll, you know, it's just funny. He just loves it. You can tell that. And sorry, this is such a long answer, but
no, I love it. This is good. It's a podcast, dude. You can't go too long on my podcast.
That's a good reminder. So Jamil, the Cocodona 250 and the 200 plus mile distances as a whole, I think have sparked curiosity from athletes in a similar way that the 100-mile distance was in the past. A lot of these elite runners are now coming to this distance, and it's like, oh, how fast can I go? How little can I sleep? Oh, my nutrition's not working like it did for that 100. Now I have to revisit nutrition and get coached the right way for the 200. All of a sudden, there's like all this curiosity. It's no longer just like this pilgrimage. or this adventure. It's a race, right?
Yeah.
And but what the coolest thing is that it's not all the elites. It's not Jim Walmsley or it's not all the elites that want to come and do these races. It's kind of I don't know how Drew would say it, but like the the fringe elites, like I don't even know, like the the ones who are willing to go out on a ledge and like try something like this. And ultimately, they're really interesting people. Like all these elite runners in these races, I just have really cool stories. And ultimately, they're kind of inspired by distance and like what they can do and all that stuff. So, anyways, long story short, Unbreakable is what started it. And that's where the concept comes from. And I think it just worked out. The chase worked out because the 200 plus mile distance is starting to attract these people and there's some interest in it. And the chase was able to kind of go in and put these athletes up against each other and for it to really be exciting. And, but ultimately we took the concepts that JB Benna and his, editing team, like the post-production team, I think the way they put that film together, I just love it. I love the shitty footage on those like handheld camcorders,
Yeah.
but it's just the story's put together so well. And so it was like, how can we pay homage to that film, using some of these intangible pieces that they put together with the backstories and all that, and how can we put that together in a multi-day race of Cocodona. So that's how it all came together.
So how many days before the race started before you went, yep, this is what we're doing. Let's get some pre-race interviews with these guys? Or was it months or was it weeks? Was it days before the race?
So the funny thing is that the year we did the chase, I was supposed to do the cutoff. And I like I had recruited a few people to like be kind of main characters in the cutoff, and I had this whole different concept of how I was gonna do that film. And Jamil called me probably like 4 months before Cocodona and was like, "Yo, pull up Ultra sign up, like check out the men's field. Like, what are we doing? We gotta do something." And it killed me. I'll never forget calling those people who I convinced to sign up for Cocodona for the cutoff and saying like, "Yo, I'm backing out because I wasn't going to get paid for the cutoff. That was a passion project." And ultimately I actually got some advice from Billy Yang, and he was like, go follow Jamil on the chase. It wasn't the chase at the time, but go follow Jamil on this film. And if it goes well and you guys do great work, maybe that will garner some more support for the cutoff in the future. And
see how fate works?
Exactly what happened, actually. So yeah, I thought, that advice from Billy was really cool.
That's awesome.
And
so Drew, how did you get involved? Did he call you? When did he call you? When did you get, recruited onto this project?
That's a great question. I don't remember.
Was it immediate, like right before, or did you have months notice, or?
I would say it was within the last month before.
Okay.
Because I think you were already shooting with the guys at that point.
Yeah.
Um, and then we got the call about it because we do the cast, we do kind of who was going to be in it. And at that point, yeah, like we knew it was going to happen. It wasn't, I have done the last minute, like get a flight next week, but kind of thing. But yeah,
Somewhere
this
in
one
between.
was, yeah,
And,
it was somewhere in between, somewhere in between.
And what did Dylan tell you your role on the film was going to be? Drew, you're going to get some B-roll footage. You're going to grab my water for me. Or was it like, you're going to run this crew, I'm going to run that crew? What was the plan, guys? What was your role told to you to be on that film?
I mean, we knew, I think Dylan knew going in that like there was a good chance we were going to have to be in different places at different times because these guys were going to be moving. It was going to kind of be pretty much nonstop at this point. Yeah, weirdly, I just started shooting a lot of 200s. Like I shot four in the first year after going freelance. And like, so kind of understood it, had shot Cocodona before, and there weren't a ton of people who had shot Cocodona before. So I think it was both that like we just need all hands on deck, but also like we need all the hands on deck that can also like operate a little bit independently if, and as it happened, like our field started to break apart, our cast started to break apart, and we knew that only one of the guys really had somebody dedicated to stick with him. And other than that, it was kind of up to the rest of us to hop around, ping around. And so there were three of us from four people, and it's like, okay, got to
Yeah.
figure it out, break it down. And that's what I mean, that's what I love doing coming into a project really is like helping build a coverage plan and like, how are
Yeah.
we going to actually make this happen? How are we going to pop up at the moment that we need to be to see if we can see a pass happen? Like, how do we get there so we see it? Those kind of little things.
And I might have this question for you again later, Drew. As not the director, as not the creative director on this project, do you feel a little bit less pressure, a little bit more like, cool, I could just kind of go do my thing because you're not responsible at the end? Not you're all responsible for it, but not being the head honcho that Jamil has got, as I like to say, one neck to choke. Does it relieve you a little bit of it and you're able to relax a little bit more or not? Or do
I
you
mean, I
prefer to
enjoy
have more
being,
control?
I do like being focused on a job, whether
Yeah.
it is like I have a lot of fun. I still help out on friends' sets where like they just kind of need like somebody to shoot behind the scenes photography. And like I love
Yeah.
being focused on one job because I mean, I've been in Dylan's seat before and I know that it's like when you are director, producer, you're also shooting, you kind of have to be like, a little bit of the best friend to the runners so that they let you into the space. All this, a lot of dynamics going on there. I am very happy to play a role where it's like we just need to execute on
Yeah.
capturing, do a really good job, take as much work off of Dylan's plate. But I will say, I mean, like, Jamil knows where I live. Like he can. So if I do something wrong, like, and he
Uh,
wants to have a word with me, he knows where to find me. So it's
got
not,
it.
it's not no pressure.
Yeah, I know I do a lot of project management, and sometimes it's nice to just come in and play a role. You just feel at ease. You're able to move a little more
It is
freely.
nice handing off, and we can talk about this more with the cutoff. Like, there's a ton of footage. I'm kind of like, cool. Someone else got to sort through
Oh,
it. All right.
I have a half a page of notes on editing. We're gonna get to the cutoff here really quickly. Just like two or three more questions on the chase. Dylan, why did you choose Drew? Was it because of his film he did with Sally the year before? What made you choose Drew to be on your crew?
Drew, when did we like work together the first time? Or
Also a great question.
it wasn't the chase,
It
No,
wasn't
it was
cloudy.
or it was the chase?
because it was the chase, and then we shot Broken Arrow the next month.
Yeah. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's what started it all.
Yeah, I don't know. Did I? I might have. No, I think I reached out to you when we were prepping our Cocodona film in 23 because
That's right.
like you had made the only two films that were out there other
Yeah.
than I mean I loved the like 7 hour GoPro video that one guy did. It was just
Yeah.
like wild, but like
Yeah.
it was that and then inaugural year and the Senseman film. And so I think that would have been the first time we ever like had
Okay.
contact was around that first year. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know where.
I mean,
I mean, it
it
kind of
was,
was a small list at that point of people who had shot at Cocodona.
yeah.
It still kind
Yeah.
of is, but
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting like the way everything is so complex. Everything's more complex than meets the eye. There is there's a lot of things. I mean, one Drew had I had known that Drew had shot other 200s. And so it's like that's huge because going into races like Cocodona, you can't just be you can't just look at somebody's portfolio and be like they're the right person for the job, because you're staying awake. I always say, like, we're essentially on the same sleep schedule as the runners are. Is very, very similar. Like, maybe we would get, if you're comparing us to the elites, like, maybe we'd get a couple extra hours, but we're very limited. Like, it's a stressful environment on your body and your mind. And you just have to care a lot. You have to care a lot about what you're doing, because that's going to make you get up for that alarm that you set 15 minutes prior when you're sleeping in the front seat of your car, to get out and get one shot in the dark that they might not even use, but yeah, I choose Drew just because it's like Drew's the best option that I knew of at that time, and still is, to capture a 200-mile race, or like really any race in the mountains.
He's relentless.
And luckily, yeah, it's true. There's something that really fires me up is watching people not give up on a shot or a concept of a shot. Like, it's easy to be like Drew was talking about, like pre-planning for a shoot and like preparing strategy for capture and stuff. There's certain parts of the course where you're like, oh yeah, we'll just go to this aid station next. But then Drew's like, dude, but there's this part in between those two aid stations. It's only like 4 miles. It's like 1,800 feet or something. But like, I think it might be around sunrise, It's like sunrise, dude. So that's kind of what Drew does, He very studies the course, breaks down the course, game plan, and then it's just it's a wild ride capturing these races, for sure.
Yeah.
Probably my favorite moment of shooting the chase, I will say, and this was where I appreciate Dylan the most, was waking up after my first like 35-minute nap, and it's cold. I have every jacket on. I'm on a yoga mat in the back of my rental car, sleeping, and I got out of the car, and Dylan was like, "No, no, I got this shot," and I got 30 more minutes of sleep, and I was so happy. I didn't want to be look. It's like, as long as the mission is, as long as we have to do the mission, I will get up, I will do it. But that was like doubling
I
your
don't.
sleep from 30 to 60 minutes. Wow.
Big time.
I need to see more documentaries of behind the scenes of you guys working.
We tried it. We tried
Dylan,
it with
you
the
did
chase,
one,
and then we were all so exhausted that it just fell apart.
Dylan, you did one. I started watching it. You shot Hard Rock, just some still photographs last year. I don't think, and like I said, I'm not a filmmaker. I'm an actor, but I've been on a lot of movie sets. And my God, I don't think people appreciate all the time that is spent setting up a shot, getting a shot ready, getting to the shot, and then editing. My God, we're going to talk about editing. You got, yeah, crazy. Okay, so the chase, hugely successful. Comes out, you have a theatrical release. We'll get to that like you're doing for this one. How many views what's the daily tally on views for the chase? In the millions, right? It's up there.
We thought that was possible, but I think it's what is it? Maybe around 700. It might be just less than that. 700,000.
700,000. Okay, everybody, all 60 of my listeners, go out and watch it again so we can get that up to 1 million. So you do the chase. It's very successful. A lot of people say it's one of the best films made until the film I saw this week, which will change your life. I can't wait to talk about it. Hopefully I won't get too emotional. So the chase is all successful. So the next year, do you go to Jamil and say, all right, dude, you got your film, we're doing my film? Or did he come to you, Dylan, and go, okay, let's do this Cutoff thing? Who was the one who said, this is time to do the Cutoff?
So Jamil, I don't even think we had finished the first chase, where the major conversation was that we needed to do the chase 2, which would be on like the women's field, or that was the immediate conversation. And it was, you can imagine not even, being in the tail end of post-production on the first chase, and before the edit's even done, I would have to be going out and filming home visits and pre-race footage with a whole list of women's field. And the women's field is strong, and it is strong every year, but we just felt that it just wasn't coming together. And we only had so much bandwidth. And so that's when I presented the Cutoff to him. And I thought it would be really tasteful to have put out the chase following the elites of the race, and to come back the very next year and make something with a similar production value on the very back of the pack. And Jamil liked that idea a lot. He liked the back and forth, and he was willing to put the women's film off until it made sense, like the first one did. So
was Drew Drew, did he call you right away and say, get ready, we're going to have to be out on film for 2 more days, you're maybe going to get only one 35-minute nap? But did he call you, and what was your reaction to signing up to do the back of the pack with all of us slow folks?
I mean, Dylan had mentioned this idea to me a little bit before. Like, obviously, like, he's been thinking about this for years at this point. And I was I was into it, and I was going to say yes no matter what. And I mean, the nice thing is that, like, we're going to be out there for more days, but like the tempo is just different working with the back of the pack. So I don't think it ever crossed my mind of like, oh no, like we're gonna have more days of that. I've also done projects that long before, but like I just knew the idea was so strong that, yeah, I mean, like, of course. And even though the 200s they're tough, and every year, even though in my inbox I just pitched somebody on a Moab thing today, even though I'm trying not to shoot any more 200s. But Cocodona is so special. Like, I love the community that's around it. Out of the
Yeah.
200s community, which is different than the 100 community, but like the 200s community, like, I just love Cocodona, love the course.
Yeah.
Jamil is super media friendly, which is like a filmmaker's dream, that we get so much
Yeah.
incredible access to these great places. Um, yeah, so I mean, it was an automatic yes whenever that.
No
Again, like,
brainer.
I don't recall the exact timeline. I probably should have looked at, like, I don't know, like
Yeah.
calendar invites or something to see.
I,
But
all right. So you guys are on board, and you're going to do the cutoff. Who, with the elites, you like picked out some people, you did some pre-race interviews. What do you do for the cutoff? How do you figure out who we're going to film? Do you at the expo, do you go, you look pretty slow, let's do an interview? How do you figure out who you're going to film, or how do you figure that out, who your subjects are?
yeah, I think one of our early conversations was kind of along those lines of like, well, if we tell people we're making a film called The Cutoff, because we wanted to set, actually, this is where it came from. We wanted to put out an email to like all the entrants to be like, hey, we're making this film. We're going to be filming during the expo. It would be great to like get a few minutes from some of you. If you see us, come stop by. And then I feel like a conversation was with Drew, but it was like, oh, if we tell people we're making a film about the Cutoff, then if they see us out at the race, they're just going to feel like doomed every time they see us. Like, oh, am I about to get cut from the race? Or, like, oh, I must be doing really bad if they're filming with me, So I think that's when we changed the verbiage to saying we were doing a film about the back of the pack, highlighting the back of the pack, But yeah, actually, so there was a lot going on at that time. Once again, finishing up the chase, the film tour, Aravaipa is definitely a big, amazing company that is growing, but it's not Hoka, or it's not, it's not Nike. Like, doing these film tours, there's not money in it. It's just Jamil saying like, I want to provide like in-person community events, but like, and then it's just me kind of like showing up to as many of them as I can, that kind of stuff. The athletes were paying their way to go. So there was just a lot going on in that front. And also at that same time, you said you had watched Cloudy, the project Drew and I worked
Yeah.
on. And I was dealing with losing the only dog I've ever had, which was way more difficult than I could have ever imagined. And then the cutoff rolls around. And honestly, to me, I didn't even, I was so nervous about this film. Like, I didn't even know how I was going to show up. But it actually ultimately became, I would say the preparation definitely, like, it lacked a little bit. The concept was straightforward, but also like not straightforward at all. It was so, there was so many different ways to go about it. Um, and ultimately we landed on, what if we make kind of the cutoff itself somewhat of the main character, and we filmed anyone who would give us the time of day who existed within the cutoff. I think we kind of gave ourselves like a 1 to 2 hours from the cutoff. Like, these are the stories we're trying to tell. And maybe there are some stories that stick around, and maybe there are people who kind of make, gain ground and they get out of the story. But, ultimately we can showcase finishes and revisit. It was a very loose plan. And it was surprises from the minute we said go. I mean, there was so many unique things that happened. I think Drew has a good story for you from the from the time we started. The weather was crazy. I mean, at the expo, I think we're 2 for 2 or 3 for 3 on the expo, having like 80-mile-per-hour winds. I don't know what happens at this place, but like, every time we have these big like filming dreams at the expo with these athletes and runners, and it just gets completely kind of messed with. But ultimately what we wanted to do is, doing a little quick math, it was like, okay, these people are going to be moving quite a bit slower. Oftentimes they're probably going to be walking, especially like leaving aid stations. How can we tell a full story within the scope of just the race? And like, so no explaining who they are, where they came from, no build in that sense. Limited storytelling on kind of the course and what the course is all about. Ultimately, we ended up adding more in the edit. But how can it just exist in the race? And will these people share their stories with us as we walk alongside them? And I'll never forget, because something we did a lot on this film, I think one of the filmers who's not in this call, his name's Andrew Bradford, he he introduced to me the excitement of showing people what you captured on your camera as you're in the race. Like, it was so much fun. We would kind of all get back together and be like, dude, look what I got. And it was Drew got this one long shot, probably like 3 or 4 minutes long, with this girl named Carmen leaving Crown King aid station. And she told the story of why she was at Cocodona. And that's, I think, the moment.
The rock climber story?
Yes.
Oh my God.
And that was the moment where like everything kind of started to make sense, I think, to us. It was like, whoa, that is that's everything. That's the whole thing, Yeah. And I think that ultimately gave us a bit better direction once like Drew had gotten that, and it was like, this is what we're doing, And so I don't know if this was luck of the year, the film gods. I always think the film gods, but we did a lot of the people who we filmed with and kind of started to develop their story early on in the race. It made sense to continue filming with them throughout the race. A lot of them stayed really close to the cutoff. Some of them gained a little bit of ground, a couple hours in front of the cutoff, but it still made sense to follow them. And it was definitely like an in the moment discovering the strategy almost while we were out there.
Yeah.
Basically, what was happening.
Drew, talk about that shot you got of Carmen. Was that was that scripted? Did you plan it? You just started filming and she just opened up. And did you know you this was it? This is what it's about when you got that shot?
Yeah, I mean, at that point, Bradford and I had come up the mountain, up to Crown King, linked up with Dylan. Like we hadn't really shot all day, which was so weird. You shoot the start, and then the first cutoff doesn't happen until after it's dark. And so we're just following people out of the aid station, knowing at that point that it was like, well, maybe these people will be in our film, but we're not going to find out for days, pretty much. And so I'm just trying to do my little. Honestly, it's a Tony Hill, another great filmmaker who he did the Cocodona Chronicles. He's done Hard Rock Chronicles. He just has this great manner about him where he goes and he just like chats with people, gets them to open up. And I've worked with him once or twice. And like, I just was trying to channel Tony Hill and like, just trying to get these people chatting and talking to give me like something to work with. Cause we don't need B-roll of headlamp bubbles in the dark of people who we don't know who they are. And yeah, so with Carmen, I mean, like honestly, most of what's in the film is almost our entire interaction was like about two
Wow.
questions in, and then she just, I mean, right, it's like having worked in documentary long enough, like people just have things on their mind, the things they want to get off their chest. And in that moment, that's just like what she needed to
Yeah.
talk through and work through and process. And I was just there to record. And yeah, that was the start of like, and then like immediately I was like glued to her for the next like 2 or 3 days. And I'm like, check it. So that was another cool thing that kind of happened as we developed the characters. We just kept seeing people over and over. Each of us started to just gravitate to like, who did we connect better with? Like practically, who were we just around? For Bradford, he's with our Native American women, and he just was able to connect and
Oh yeah.
relate with them really
Oh,
well and their families and their crew. Yeah, for me, I was around Carmen. I was around some of the people who didn't make it to the end. Dylan, were you with Jen? I guess you were with Tony Moore. But anyway, like how it worked out is just kind of like we started to figure.
yeah.
But that's all just like we are literally showing up, and this is, I mean, when we bring it home at the end with why this film matters, like we showed up without a cast. That's crazy. Like, yeah, we knew the DFLs from previous years, but like, look, one of them's out that first night. Like, nothing's guaranteed at that race, let alone that like our film's going to work out. And we showed up with no idea of the characters, and yeah, like you're watching in those early that first day, it's like you're literally watching us kind of try and find people who like hit that mix of they're around the cutoff, they are okay with us being around, and because like not everybody was like, some of the people are just like on their personal journey in the pain cave, not
Yeah.
really wanting to deal. And like, yeah, of course, like you don't want
Yeah.
to deal with an extra camera in your face. That's another impressive. Oh my gosh, I could just go on and on about like the fact that this many people were willing to engage with us while doing something that
Yeah.
is very hard and very challenging. Um,
Yeah.
so incredible.
One more thing for you, Drew. You're the scouting location expert. How the hell do you scout this out? Do you go, oh, we're going to be here in the middle of the night. Where am I going to get my shot? Because all your timing's messed up because now you're dealing with, or was it easier because you're like, well, we're dealing with cutoffs, so we know we'll be here at this time. Was it
Yeah,
easier to
that's
scout the
it was
locations?
easier to look at the times ahead of
Okay.
time and kind of know more or less where we're at. Like there's no which I think happened a little bit with the chase. It's like, oh, people are like 2 hours early. Those kind of like, whoa, crazy hurry up moments. Versus,
Yeah.
yeah, we kind of knew the cutoff times. And from there we're able to look back and we know roughly where these people will be at sunset, at sunrise, at middle of the day. And it does, yeah, it definitely makes the
Yeah.
timing
Okay.
easier. And the
It's actually
speed,
easier.
the speed that they're moving at is also very easy to work around and to calculate and hit those midway points. Anyway, yeah, like it definitely worked out. That was not the hardest part.
Yeah. Dylan, obviously, like Drew said, you guys are following some people. Not everybody makes it. I'm not going to give away any spoilers, but you follow some people early on, and I'm sure there was other people you followed that didn't even make it into the film. Some of the people got cut. and some of them early on. How did you feel about that as the director? Were you like, oh shit, there goes my storyline? Or were you just emotional for them for missing out on their dream this year? Or how did you feel about that when people were getting cut at the cutoff? The cutoff was happening.
Yeah. Yeah. So there was one of our, so the only semblance of structure we had to, of like people to follow was that we saw that three DFL finishers from previous years were running again in this race. And so we had a tiny bit of backstory to connect, like, hey, what is the DFL? Oh, they celebrate this thing. And that was kind of an early kind of like introduction to this whole world. Like, whoa, I'm a DFL. It's like, I got, I got a medal and all this stuff.
So that was your first time experiencing DFL, back of the pack. Neither one of you, I've seen, like, you guys are pretty quick. You've never come in back of the pack. That's never been an experience for you at a race as a runner or a filmmaker, right?
I mean, I don't go that
No.
far, to be honest. I have filmed a fair amount of back of the pack, but I don't.
Okay.
I've never gone further than 50K, so that just kind of works different.
Yeah, no, I haven't had that experience either. I think but I've been around it, and I've experienced Golden Hour. It was Lucy's dad that introduced how special it was.
Right.
Um, I've never felt anything like, watching her dad hit the track and the little buzzer, whatever it is, goes off while he's on the track. Like, yeah, that was crazy. But then ultimately watching the support and, but I've worked on enough things to know that the film gods know what's best. I mean, you're asking about, like, are some of our main characters getting cut off? I'll never forget filming The Chase and being on the top of Mount Eldon and waiting for Arlen Glick to get up Mount Eldon after I had already just filmed Jeff Browning, doing his victory lap to the finish. And in my pocket, I have the live stream going because I'm like, what's going to happen? And I'm sitting there waiting and I'll never forget that moment that happened on live stream of them being like, oh, it's Jeff. And then they're like, wait a minute, that's not Jeff. That's Harry Subertis. And I literally thought my life was over. That's how dramatic I was being about it. I was like, what on earth are freaking, like, this is worst case scenario, right? I needed to learn that lesson, that it's not over. Like, that when adversity happens, the story just gets better, And I will say one of the characters in particular who got cut at the end, we did not want that. Not to say we wanted anybody to get cut, but one of the characters was you couldn't help but root for, and you wanted that finish, and it seemed like it was going to happen, and that was devastating. But there's some people who they have to carry the burden of sharing these special messages and teaching these lessons to everybody else. And I think it's so cool that we were able to, those things happen all the time. And there's not anybody there to capture it and tell the story. And ultimately, for somebody you want to root for and like you want to get to the finish line so bad, for that person, it crushes people, right? And we knew it would probably crush people in the film. It crushed us in person. But then ultimately, who better than to kind of speak to what it all means, right, at the end of the day than that person, and really drive home the whole point of the film. And so that's what we did. And it was, and I think that person's coming back. So
Good. That's what we do, man. Sometimes we don't finish these things and we come back. I know you both have done Mammoth 50K. Drew, you did it this year. I think you finished in a little over 6 hours. You both did it pretty quick. I got cut off 12 minutes at the top of Mammoth Mountain. Tim Tolson would not let me finish that race. 12 minutes too late, I got cut off. So I'm coming back this year. I'm doing all three. I'm going to do the DBA Ascent, Mammoth
Whoa.
50K, and my wife and I are going to do the 26K. That's what we do. We come back with a vengeance.
Did he cut you off with the loudspeaker thing?
No. He, of course, was at the finish line. It was some sweet volunteer who said, yeah, I'm sorry, honey, you're 12 minutes too late. A lady I interviewed, Julie Anding, has done it 3 times and got cut off at the top of the mountain 3 times. The first time by 30 seconds. She got to the aid station 30 seconds. Anyways. So on the flip side of that coin, guys, was there anyone that you followed that you were like, as you're following them, you're like, oh God, they're not going to make it, and they made it? Don't say any names. I don't want to spoil any names for people watching the film. But was there anyone you followed that you didn't, when you first started following, you thought, I don't know if they're going to make it, and they surprised you and they actually did, or was that not a case?
I mean, there was definitely a moment there were a few moments with one of the runners who ends up being a DFL at the end, where and it's in the film. I mean, you hear countdowns that are not minutes; they are seconds to get out, and it's,
Yeah.
uh, yeah. I mean, yeah, when you're literally counting down seconds to get out of an aid station, like it's hard to. And I mean, like, you both, like, as a human, you don't care, you want them to succeed, all that, but like as a filmmaker,
Yeah.
you see, I kind of have to strategize a little bit of like, okay, are we going to be seeing them again, that kind of thing, and it's like, I don't know, it doesn't, it literally does not get any closer. Um, but I don't think I ever had a moment where I was like, this person can't finish.
Okay.
I don't think I ever. I mean, I've seen enough of these things so that there is so much time to rally and to figure things
Yeah.
out. And the sun comes up again, and you're a new person, all that kind. We got to watch that with this whole cast over and over again.
Got to watch a lot of sunrises.
Awesome.
Did you have to experience anybody that had to pull themselves? Somebody that was at the back of the pack you were maybe following or interacting with, and due to injury or them just going, you know what, I'm slowing, and they had to pull themselves. Did you have experience that with anybody out there?
So if there was like a wish list, if we were going to like run this film back again, I think the biggest, and I don't even know if, I guess this is okay to say, I guess, but the biggest miss is just that it was very difficult to like the moment that somebody was getting pulled from the race, or, I think we were at one aid station halfway through where we did get people who were dropping from the race and like filling out that drop form and that kind of stuff. But cinematically, right? Like, you picture a runner sitting up against a tree in the middle of the woods, kind of like that reckoning moment of just, looking up at the sky, like talking to themselves, like, I think I'm done, and calling in help and stuff. Like, we weren't able to get that moment. And, that would have been pretty sweet. We actually had one moment towards the end of the race where we were going to be able to get that. Like, we had an opportunity. We knew that it was going to happen. We were following trackers, and there was some communication back and forth with their crew, who at this point we were in good relationships with. And we ultimately couldn't go film them pulling themselves from the race and medical coming out and stuff, because of the weather was so bad that it had destroyed all the dirt roads back there. And because medical was going to do like an evac, they didn't want us to potentially go back there on those roads and get stuck and block them from being able to do the evac or whatever. And that was tough. That was tough. I almost wanted to, you got to choose your battles,
Yeah.
but I almost went to battle on that one.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Well, you guys captured a lot of stuff. I've got some specific questions here I wrote down. What was the most? Which aid station had the most drama? Was there one particular one where like people got cut, or there was a lot of drama? There was a lot of close calls. If you had to pick one, for each of you, what would have been your aid station where you thought it was the most dramatic happenings?
I think there was. I bet. Are we thinking of the same one, Drew? Probably.
Yeah. Well, I'll let you go, and then I'll share. I think I know which one you're going for. I'll go for a different one, probably.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you think about this a little bit, there's actually some low key ones that maybe had the most drama. But Deer Pass was when you are thinking about the concept of this film and you're painting that picture in your mind of what it could be like. Deer Pass was that in this film. Yeah, we actually opened the film with it too, a little exciting moment. But
Mm,
that one had the aid station volunteers and captains like standing 200 yards outside of the aid station, like calling out into the desert, like, hey, 5 minutes, that kind of stuff. Like, that one was like, you're kind of looking in the distance, looking for headlamps to come, make their ways through the brush and come up over the hill. That one was pretty intense. They didn't have much time there, and that was that was a wild one.
yeah. That one's about halfway through, right? Halfway through the race, or a little over halfway. Trying to remember
Yeah,
where
I
that one
Yeah,
think.
was.
it's two aid stations past halfway,
Yeah.
more or
Okay.
less.
All right. Drew, is that the one you were thinking of, or what
Yeah,
were
I
you
mean that
thinking
for
of?
sure is the most like time crunch drama. I was gonna pick. I would have picked Jerome as another one.
Oh,
Jerome's like the halfway point, more or less, and
okay.
like we had. They're still going through bad weather, getting dumped on, and people are coming down this hill, and it's um things are like the conditions are taking their effect. The lack of sleep are taking their effect, and we had a number of people pull out at that point because like for either time reasons or other reasons. And
Mm,
you're there, and like I was working with Carmen at that point. Like we had filmed a ton together, and I'm running downhill, and she's like. She was, I don't think this is in the film. She's like trying to like get water off the leaves of bushes and stuff because she's like dehydrated. I think she's not thinking super straight. She's on a downhill, so she has to run. But like at that point, you're like, I all I want to do is stop, but we're running out of time, and all you want to do in that moment is be like, okay, let's get you out of here, all that kind of stuff. But it's like kind of got to be hands off, kind of just got to watch it play out, and then you sit down, you get cold, and yeah, I mean that was a tough one. There was a lot of like, do we go, do we not go? I saw some crew and runner kind of drama there as like all I want is my 25 minutes of sleep, but you didn't set up for me kind of stuff happen. Um, yeah, but
yeah.
that was, I mean, Deer Pass though was that down to the like stopwatch
Got it.
again, just
Yeah.
oh,
So that's that scene at the beginning. That's such a great scene. So, guys, I got questions on the editing. On the editing, how do you and maybe you can both answer this. I don't know, but does the story come first and you edit to the story, or do you edit and then the story comes out? I know you said the cutoff, and it's done brilliantly. The cutoff is the main character, is I would say the antagonist, although kind of a neutral antagonist. Does the editing create that, or do you go and say, we got to edit this so this is the story that comes out?
This so we worked with an editor. His name's Brooks Upham, and he was like an assistant editor for me on Lucy's Dad, and then also The Chase. And um, and man, him and there was like a big chunk of time where him and I talked twice a day. Like we, I remember when that first rough cut came in, and he was sort of like, it's a tough job as an editor, especially when you weren't there to have a relationship with the story and the footage. He just has to go through all of it and kind of, right. And we all had moments like we have moments burned into our souls that we experienced with the cutoff, right? And Brooks has to kind of go in and recognize that and take a few insights from us, but kind of find it. The first rough cut we got, to be fully transparent, like it was not, it just, it was not good enough, basically. And it wasn't anything about what Brooks did. Brooks did exactly what he was supposed to do. The reality is that there was a strategy that we went in with, which was to capture everything within the scope of the race that just wasn't giving enough to the audience. There wasn't enough happening in the first part of the story to make you feel what we wanted you to feel at the second part of the story. There was parts that didn't feel they were moving too slow or they weren't hitting the right way. And it was a huge wrestling match with this edit on how to not be afraid to still lean into some of the concepts that we wanted, but also to give the audience more, like how could we kind of add in pieces. And that's ultimately what it was. It was a lot of trial and error, adding in pieces, leaning into, gosh, we worked with so many talented people in the post-production part of this, leaning into this guy, Rob Fisher, who Drew's worked with before in his film, The Finisher. Rob is like a genius. He's like an evil Canadian genius. And like, he's not evil at all though. He's classic Canadian. He's like the nicest guy ever. But he, half the time when he's talking, I have no idea what he's even talking about. And I'm just like, and then he shows you what he was thinking, like, and it's just exceptional. And I think like what his graphics add into the feeling, and then I've worked with the same sound guys for like 4 projects in a row now, and I got to give them so much credit. I told him about this concept and I said, like, I really think it's, could potentially be the one where we can be a little bit more creative and really like let the sound really like be at the forefront a little bit more. And they just went, Tyler and Lance, they went, Lance is Tyler's assistant and Lance is a musician. And so Lance builds out kind of the ambience and the world of a lot of scenes, where then Tyler comes in and masters it and stuff. But Lance also, he can take music that we provide and he can like manipulate it. And he did that a handful of times within the film. There was, at the Deer Pass scene, he scored that whole scene from scratch. So that's all of his own.
He wrote that?
From scratch, yeah. That really tense thing. I mean, gosh, I'll never forget seeing, I'm probably just going on a tangent now, but some of the things that they did in sound to lean into the feeling that we wanted to create was just exceptional. Like, so in order to make the Cutoff the main character, I thought it'd be cool to use chapters to kind of, because the Cutoff isn't a visual character, right? It's something you're describing and you're trying to understand, and it's always there, right? So it's like the chapters themselves can keep bringing you back to the Cutoff sort of in some way. And the way that the sound hits hard in that. But then also, one of the characters in the film that we followed all the way through, she's completely deaf. And I'll never forget hearing this scene, and Tyler sends me the scene and he's like, yo, this can either stay or go. Like, I spent way too long on this, but if you don't like it, like, we can pull it. And
you're talking about that scene with Aylin?
Yeah.
Aylin is a deaf runner?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he created a scene with Aylin where she was interacting with her crew, and
I got to tell you guys, I fucking bawled. I lost it. I absolutely lost it. I'm like, oh my God. What you did there was just so, I don't want you to give it away, because this is going to come out while people still have a chance to see it in the theater before it comes out. It is one of the most incredible scenes. And I had that in my notes. I'm like, the scene with Aylin When did you think of that? So that was Tyler that came up with that idea?
Well, I don't know if you're referring to the same scene I am, but maybe you are. Are you referring to the one towards the end of her race, or
Yeah,
or the one? There's one a little bit earlier on where she's interacting with her crew, and he just changes the sound, so you're kind of like experiencing the crew
that's the
talking to
one.
her as she would hear it,
Yeah, yeah,
not hear it.
yeah. That's the
And
scene. That's so moving.
yeah.
That's incredible.
Well, sorry, I gave it away.
That's fine, guys. It's amazing. There were so many little things I appreciated. There was Drew. You talked about when you're filming Carmen. I think when you guys were filming all of the people, your camera angle was that deliberate. It's below. You're like at their waist, filming up to their face, and it gives people a sense of, I don't know. You made them feel more powerful, like you were really respecting. Was that a choice, or that's just a style of where you like to have the camera when you film people? But it's something I picked up, and I was like, that is really powerful to me.
Yeah, I mean it's both practical and intentional. Practically, especially when we're moving over rough terrain, the lower the camera is, I just have to shift my eyes right to see where I'm going versus fully looking down or something like that. It's easier to move with the camera out there. But yeah, I mean, one of the cool things, and a lot of that goes to Bradford, who was shooting this with us as we kind of developed the visual language of the film on the fly, was treating these characters no differently than we would the hero of The Chase, or no differently than we would have treated the heroes of Unbreakable 2 or whatever other elite athlete movie. Like watching these people in slow motion, beautiful backlight hitting them, all that kind of stuff. Because for the purposes of this story, they are the heroes. They're battling against the cutoff. Some other stories, they battle against different things, but these are the heroes. And so, yeah, there are a couple really cool moments of slow motion suspended reality, just like looking at these superstars, these everyday heroes.
It's so well done, guys. What a treat. You mentioned Unbreakable. That's always been my favorite film. I told my two buddies this week. I said I got a sneak peek at Cutoff, and I have a new favorite trail running film. And maybe it's because I'm a back of the packer. It's just you don't even know what that means to all of us who are just out there doing this. I know, we love watching the elites. Absolutely love those stories. Got to have those stories. This is going to be something special for a lot of people. And I know, Drew, you had emailed me that question too, and it was one of the things I was going to ask is, did this change you as a person, as a filmmaker, filming these people telling the story? How did that change you as a person and a filmmaker? And what does this film mean to you, mean to the community?
But I'll get mine out of the way because I also want to hear Dylan's answer to this too. I mean, it is it was definitely a such a reminder of what I love about nonfiction filmmaking. Like, I'll be completely honest, and your audience might resonate with this. Is that like a lot of the mainstream stuff, especially now as the sports very commercialized, very professionalized, doesn't always have authenticity or truth all the way through. There's some stuff that we have to, especially like I shoot a lot of ad and commercial stuff that's like there's a lot of fake stuff that we do to just make it work. And that's part of the business and that's cool. But like this is just pure authenticity, real people, real stories, real, we just kind of have to figure it out. There's no like I mean, even just down to I think about like the way that everybody has assembled their own different kit, what they're wearing, all that kind of stuff. Like it has very much this like I'm just kind of putting it together and going on this adventure. Like gets back to honestly, like if I were to do a 200-mile race, this is almost how I'd want to do it. Maybe a little less stress on the cutoff. That would stress me out. I don't know if I would handle it super well. um, but yeah, the biggest thing to me is that like one of the reasons I don't race a lot is that like I have very high expectations. I don't think I would race if I didn't think I could finish. And a lot of the folks who we got a chance to work with have, and I'm not going to say that they don't believe either way, but what I'll say is that they have a lot of reasons or excuses that they could make for I'm not even going to be on the start line because of, I'm working on an oil rig and I don't have a good space to train. Or I have a couple kids. I also work a job. I'm traveling a ton. I don't know if I prepared quite enough. Or if it's, hey, I got cut off the past 2 years. Like, well, I guess, what am I even going to do this year? Is it even going to happen? Like, they have every excuse in the world not even to be on the start line, but they still put themselves in the arena. And like, how can you not admire and respect that? And beyond running, right? Like, my favorite running films gets to beyond running. Like, how many times do we count ourselves out before we get to the start line? Like, if you're in the mix, you get in the arena and like it doesn't work out, that happens in all phases of life. Like, if you don't get started, you don't have you don't have a chance to see what happens. So that's one of the biggest things. The other thing, and this is my last bit, and then I'll get over to Dylan. If you can fast forward about like 5 taps, that's about 15 seconds each, should get you through me. um, we'll just give you that one. But like, this film is also, and like, I've used this line a few times and I'm hoping that this appears in the marketing later, but this idea of like a film for the rest of us, that I kind of came into that line in chatting with Dylan. Like, I have seen the comments on my films, Dylan's seen the comments on his films, I've received the emails, the DMs, the why some are more friendly of like, oh, I wish I was famous so you would film me. Some more pointed of, why don't you film? I can't relate to this. I can't relate to these elites. Those. I've also had the more pointed about the makeup of the athletes that I work with. Like, why don't you film somebody who looks like this? Somebody who's female, male, whatever it is.
Yeah.
The beauty of this film, and why I would say anybody kind of owes it to the community. Like, this is the most remarkable cast of characters. There is somebody, I highly doubt you can watch this film and not relate to somebody in this film. Um, I wish we had 5 hours to give each of these people, like an hour to themselves to just be able to really study and understand these characters. But like, yeah, I mean, that's one of the most meaningful things, is that like, this feels like a direct response to a lot of that sentiment, which I feel and which I hear. And like, if I was independently wealthy, I would go and make films about whatever I want. There's
Yeah.
also a financial component, but like, to have Jamil believe in this too, like, I think that's the pressure I felt, is like, not like, oh, you're gonna miss focus or something like that. No, it's like, Jamil believed in this concept of, we need to not have characters, not have sponsored athletes, not have people with tons of followers on
Yeah.
Instagram. Some of them don't have Instagram, like, but the
Yeah.
belief in the worth of those stories, like, that's so important. And like, that to me is like the heart of this film, is that like, the story is worth it regardless of who
Yeah.
you are. And I would just hope that people show up and engage with a bunch of runners that they don't know, but at the end of the day, we're all runners, right? Like, we're all
Yeah.
adventurers, whatever you want, whatever title you want to put on it. So that's my bit,
I-
that's my bit,
Yeah.
that's how I feel.
It's just I think it's a loving tribute to the community, because this is a great community. I mean, Tim Tolleson says hi to me. He doesn't have any reason to do that, but it's a community where out on the trails we all respect each other, from the elites to the back of the pack. And you guys just did something that is so respectful to all of us that are out there, for twice as long, working twice as hard. And like you said, we might not get it done. I just think you really handled it well, and you told those stories. You're just telling a story. It doesn't have to be sponsored. And the fact that Jamil came through for it, that's awesome. Dylan, what is that similar for you? That's how you feel about this film, and what it means to you and what it means to the community, or what's your take on it now that it's all done?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like Drew said it just perfectly. Um, and I really don't have too much to add to it besides the fact that um, there, I think that ultra running, and I've said this a bunch of times, but I think ultra running has been largely built on a lot of the stories that have been told about this sport. The sport has kind of come alive and grown at the same time that free media and YouTube and cameras that you can run around a trail, it all kind of happened at the same time. And I do think this sport has a lot of its character comes from the stories that have been told about it. And something that really, why I couldn't let go of this film from the first time I thought about it, and why, like, Drew was one of the first people to really, who like I respect, who like really was like, dude, that is such a good idea. Like, when is this happening, kind of thing. Um, there, there's value in all stories, right? This story has been told in some ways, but not completely, right? Like, not from from the same perspective. There's a place, there's a seat at the table for this film, and to be able to work on something and to feel confident that we're contributing something of value to the sport that hasn't been there before, it just means the world. Like, I'm not saying this is the best film ever, you know, but I do know that this film is going to give you a completely unique perspective, like, on the sport. It's going to offer you more context, and it's going to expand your view of the sport and of just people and what they're capable of. And the main goal when I was first like talking to people about this project was, I wonder, it's like, if you're in the sport of ultra running or running in general, it doesn't even have to be ultra running. We all have friends who are in our circle who, you know, the ones who say like, oh, that race, like 2029, I'm doing that race. 2029 it is, because I'm about to have a kid. And you know what? I got this new truck with a car payment, and you know, it's just not 2029. I'm going to have everything figured out and I'm going to do this race. Right. And I think those people look very similar to the people who we filmed in this film, the people who exist at the back of the pack near the cutoff. There's just life circumstances that have led these people to say, you know what, screw it. I'm signing up right now. I'm going for it. I don't know if I'm going to finish or not, but I'm going to try. And, you know, are those people better than the other people? No, but ultimately those people who have this dream that's way and far in front of them, they obviously, something's pulling them there, right? And so can we showcase people and faces and stories who will give them more of a reason to like say, you know what, I'm going to go chase my dream too, because that person did, and they have more excuses than me not to, you know. That was the whole concept. And I think we did that basically. So I feel very good about it all.
Yeah. Yeah. I the production quality, I'm just so thrilled. I just can't believe you made such a great film. And the production quality is like nothing I've ever seen. You talked about the music and the graphics and the sound and the editing. In the first 10 minutes, I was like, I've never seen anything like this. This is, I don't want to call it Hollywood, but you've really Hollywood it and done it with, you know, such a sweet story and characters. I love it. My buddy Tony's in this film. I was texting with him the other day. What was your most impressive thing about Tony? The fact that he trains on a treadmill on an oil rig out in the Bering Sea, or the fact that his 11 and 13-year-old daughters paced him at Cocodona?
So I told you about how like we got into we kept going on our own little journeys as these like, you know, cinematographers, and then we'd come back and be like, dude, I just like, you wouldn't believe this about this person or whatever. I was with Tony, and Tony is like, nothing fires me up more than somebody who like you would pigeonhole in one thing. Like you would stereotype that person and then they're not that. Tony is that to me. Like Tony, he, you know, Army veteran, like he looks like he's an Army veteran.
Don't call him Army. I made that mistake. He's a Marine. I called him Army on my podcast, and he didn't cuss me out because he doesn't have the kind of guy. He's a Marine. He was a Marine.
That is different. Yeah. No, it is. Yeah. So anyways, just, you know, he's this big dude, tough guy. And he's the sweetest human ever. He pulled, you know, all this is in the story, but he prioritized bringing his family out to have that experience, whether he would fail or not. He felt that that was valuable for his family to see and experience. And that guy, he really moved me a lot. And I don't know if he told you, he definitely didn't, but him and his wife flew out for the premiere from Alaska. He put in PTO at his job on the oil rig, flew out to the premiere in Flagstaff, and he brought me 20 pounds of salmon that he caught.
Oh God.
He brought it in like a refrigerated shipping container, 20 pounds of salmon that he caught, and then some moose backstrap that he got. I have a picture of me just like holding this big box of salmon. He's just, Tony's just great. And actually that's something to add on to like all of these stories, is just that like Drew said, you can see, like, you're going to be hard pressed not to relate to somebody in this film. What's so cool and so refreshing, and not to put words in Drew's mouth, but I do know that he feels this too, and so do the other people who worked on this film, is how refreshing it is. None of these people knew they were going to be in a film, right? Besides the DFLs that ultimately were in it. All of these people, the way they communicate it is they're just so grateful to have their story shared. And they're so appreciative of the opportunity that just kind of happened. And, oftentimes, I know Drew's probably felt this before. I've definitely felt it. Like, sometimes in the professional sport of ultra running, you can feel people can seem almost inconvenienced by the fact that you're there to tell their story. They have a job to do. They have all these obligations, and you're just another piece of the puzzle that's in the way of them doing this thing. Not everybody feels that way, right, but it does happen. And this was so refreshing, just telling stories about people who really just are so grateful to be a part of it. And it's like we're bonded as a family. I mean, Tony told me anytime I'm in Alaska, I can stay with him and his family.
There you go.
That kind of stuff, right? So
go moose hunting. Yeah, he's a big.
Get on the treadmill with him.
Yeah. Oh God. Oh yeah. Oh, Tony, he's awesome. And then Ben, you got to meet Ben. I don't know if you had known Ben beforehand. He had run it the year before when he did the chase. He had quite the story. If you heard his story the year before, I won't give it away, but he did a podcast with Matthias on the original single track podcast where he talked about it. I want to be respectful of your time. I've got some closing questions, though, that I wrote down that I got to ask you. We'll start with you, Drew. What's the favorite race or subject or person? What's the favorite thing you've ever filmed? Besides skydiving off of cliffs that you didn't show your mom.
Skydiving.
Skydiving off a cliff makes it sound even cooler. I mean, this has now become a very easy question to answer, which is Jasmine Paris finishing Barkley. Like, I mean,
Okay.
I don't think that will ever be topped. As somebody who got into like the Barkley films and then being there for that moment, oh my gosh, yeah.
It's kind of like chasing the cutoff with a famous person and just something that's never been done. I mean, it was incredible.
100%.
What you did. How about you, Dylan? What's favorite thing you've ever filmed?
I mean, it's hard not to, honestly. So I'm fixated on Cocodona.
Yeah.
I think I almost lump them all together. It's just so strange. It's almost like I'm just trying to explore every corner of this race and the different types of people, in the different experiences. And I've filmed a lot of things. Like I've filmed, over in Asia, like a bunch of people living on a floating river and researchers trying to protect one of the largest rivers in the world. I've filmed things that have just like touched me deeply, right? In so many different ways, all kinds of stuff. But I think the Cutoff, it just like, It really has unlocked a certain thing in me, to some degree, of just trying to really put more of an effort in finding stories um, that haven't been told fully, and just kind of like, being confident in that. And for myself, at least, like I always think the last thing or the next thing I'm working on is like my favorite thing, it's kind of how it is. But yeah, it's hard to beat the cutoff, the chase. I mean, I feel like just starting to lean into every person has a valuable story. You know what I mean? And it doesn't need to be, you know, the refugee or like kind of these like shock value stories, that maybe exist in media and journalism and stuff. Everybody has a story. And um, it's just fun to go and learn those stories. And I feel like we're on a good trajectory with the chase and the cutoff, and now what we're doing this next year. It's just so fun to learn where these people come from and like what's made them, you know.
Top secret, what you're doing? Are you back at Cocodona this year?
It's not top secret. No, I don't
Oh,
think so. We're doing a film on the women's race, the elite women,
awesome.
at Cocodona,
Love it.
and
Drew, are you going to be there too?
I'll be on board. One last
Love it.
ride.
yeah,
Love it.
one last ride.
One
Yeah,
last ride. Once again, forever.
yeah, yeah.
Once again, forever. What's the greatest challenge you have doing a film, or the most challenging race or film you've worked on? What's a big challenge you have when you're filmmaking? Dylan, we'll start with you.
My biggest challenge is probably filming the major races. Like, my mind goes straight to UTMB. It's just
Mm,
there's so many obstacles in your way that take away from you telling any semblance of a powerful story. But it's not what it's about, and maybe but there's just a lot of obstacles, and I think we're spoiled with trail running. Like, um, yeah, some of those big professional races, they're uncomfortable to film at.
sure. Drew, same for you, or what's your biggest obstacle with filming?
Yeah, I mean that's pretty high up there. I think yeah, I mean my biggest obstacle is always just like finding the balance of wanting to get a shot, develop a story a certain way, but also wanting to preserve the truth and the honesty of somebody's experience. Like one of my things is that I would never want to interfere with anybody's race. Um, but like sometimes it's like, oh, well, if the camera's there and then you're talking to anyway, like that's a whole nother rabbit hole. But like, yeah, always finding that balance of like, I want to be there, I want to be close, I want to be in it with somebody, but I also want them to like, if they could walk away from the race and not really feel like a camera was there. I do feel like that maybe that's the best form of the art. But I mean, we couldn't have made a film like The Cutoff without being in it with them. So yeah, there's always going to be a balance, and it's just like
Yeah.
finding the right balance for the right story.
Drew, I'll start with you. What's your favorite or most inspiring filmmaker, not named Drew or Dylan? And it doesn't have to be a trail running filmmaker. It could be any kind of filmmaker. Who inspires you? Who's your
It's, oh, ooh, that's a big question. I mean, I'll always love Jimmy Chin's work. I'll watch anything that Jimmy Chin makes. I mean, really, like a lot of fiction films were pretty formative for me, and like and helping to wrestle with bigger questions. Somebody like, I mean, I mean, also like Terrence Malick, a great Texas filmmaker, or Christopher Nolan, somebody like people who are obsessed with the big questions. Like, definitely, those are those are what come to the top of my mind.
Dylan?
Um, Shoot. I mean, have you seen the film? I think his name's Peter Mortimer, um, which doesn't sound very convincing if I don't barely know his name. But he made the film with, dang it, what is it called? The mountaineer, ice climber, free soloist.
Oh, The
Oh,
Alpinist.
The Alpinist. Gosh dang it.
okay. Yeah.
So if you like, that's just like a gut reaction answer. But I
Yeah.
was watching that film for like the sixth time recently, and to me, like, I think that film is in some ways like perfect.
Okay.
I think it's like such a beautiful mixture of just shots that they had to get and be scrappy with, and they're maybe not that exceptional, mixed with just beautiful filmmaking, pop-up interviews. But I just think the story is like a once in a lifetime as a filmmaker story, and I just thought they did such a good job. And I feel really inspired by that film, like to one day, be presented with a story like that. So
Very nice. I like to close these. I always ask my guests their 5 favorite pieces of gear. I had a listener out in Ireland who's like, you should ask people their 5 favorite pieces of gear. So that's what I close with. So I'm going to start with you, Drew. Give me, and it can be running. Usually it's like, when you're out for a run, what are 5 things you like? Maybe it's your Hoka Speed Goats or whatever. That was Tony's. You got to have his Hoka Speed Goats. Now he got him signed by Carl Melzer, so he's even more enthused about him. But 5 favorite pieces of gear. It could be running, it could be camera equipment. I will allow that. Give me 5 favorite pieces of gear for running or filming trail runs.
5 favorite pieces of gear. We'll try and split it. One for both. Raid belt. Love my Raid running belt, and it is also I have worn it for entire races, just like phone filters, batteries, stuff like that. I have given it to people I have been filming to wear for the rest of the race. That happened at Leadville. I kind of lost my belt at the start line, got it back at the end. Number one. Number two, I'll go shoe, the Solomon Aeroglide gravel shoe. Unreal. Favorite shoe. I'm just buying up all the threes I find on sale because um, great shoe. And I can film all day in it. I can do anything in it. Amazing. Other pieces of gear. Three, my Sachtler tripod. Yes, I do own a Sachtler tripod. That's my one like flex piece of equipment. That's very niche. Dylan's jealous of my Sachtler tripod. It's
yeah.
beautiful. German engineering. Um, for I have to pick the drone. Doesn't really matter what kind of drone. Like that absolutely changed how outdoor filmmaking can be done and what we do. And like I love beating myself up and running myself into the ground with a camera. And then you can just throw the drone up and like it gets all the even better shots. So
Yeah.
the drone would be number 4. And let's go. What would be number 5? Probably this Somo Collective hat available on Somo
I
Collective. I
feel
don't
bad I
actually
don't
know
have
that,
a
but
Somo
that's
Collective hat on. By the way, folks,
uh,
that's Dylan's new
That's
film company, right?
that's
Somo
Dylan's film
Collective.
company, Merch
Yeah.
Enterprise. His
Yeah.
a little bit of everything. Maybe it's a shell company. Maybe there's something happening under the surface. We don't know.
I
Mm,
don't
What does it
know.
stand for? Oh yeah, South Mountain. What's under the
Yeah,
South Mountain?
sure.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
there you go. All right. Very nice. Dylan, you've had time to think 5 favorite pieces of
Oh,
gear for running or filmmaking.
I am bad at this one. Okay. I was thinking my truck because it's actually
Yep.
it was an early idea I had of like, oh, maybe if I get a truck and I build a bed in the back, it'll help me with all these races and filming. And it's been incredible. So that's been sweet.
There you go.
Um, I mean, gosh, running belt. I'm not going
Okay.
to overthink it. Running belt because you
Yep.
can use it running and while you're shooting. Um, Running shoes. I don't have a favorite shoe. I don't think. I just take.
You don't want to piss off
They
any
get.
brands. That's the whole thing. He doesn't want to piss off any brands, Drew. Yeah. All
Yeah,
right.
no,
Fine. Running
I
shoes.
just take whatever they give me. Actually, so my current favorite shoe, which just hop on the bandwagon, I guess, feels kind of lame, but the Mount to Coast shoe is just so freaking comfortable.
the
Actually,
H
H1.
yeah,
H1.
Dude,
Yeah, I got it
yeah,
too.
dude, it's so
It's really good.
comfortable.
so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm getting
That's
close.
3.
Puffy.
A what?
A puffy, like a puffy jacket.
Oh, yep. Okay, that's 4. You got one more?
Yeah. Oh, my Cine saddle. That's a good one. My Cine saddle, it's like a little bag that goes around and you can set your camera on it like this and it kind of distributes the weight and it smooths out the shots. But also you can put it on like the front seat of your car, and so while you're driving to the next aid station, you can just have it sitting on that too. And it's the only piece of camera equipment that's ever been this useful and also simultaneously this affordable. So
Yes.
I like it.
I love it. Well, thanks, guys. I went a little over time, but that's how my podcasts go. They go like my running. We just run behind. We go slow. They take a little bit longer, but that's what my listeners like. I like to get to know people, so I appreciate
Hey,
you
I'm
coming
hourly
on.
for this one, Joey. So, you want to go another hour. I'm just sending it to Dylan. So,
Oh, you sending them a bill? Good. Don't send it to me because I don't even have any advertisers. I'm just doing this shit for fun. So, thank you guys for making that film. I really, I mean, I knew it was going to be good, and then I watched it, and I was like, literally 10 seconds into it, I'm like, this is life changing for me. This is really cool. A lot of people at the back of the pack, middle of the pack, just as regular folks, man. Like you said, you've made a film for the rest of us, so I appreciate it.
I think Dylan, you said very apt. Like, I don't think I'm not looking fishing to get emails or for you to send Dylan emails if you watch the film to be like, this is the best thing ever. I'm just fishing for if this is meaningful, please engage because then we get more of it. And if you skip
Yeah,
over it, we might not get another shot to make a story like this at the level that we got to make it at, which is so cool. So
yeah,
please engage if these kind of
yeah.
stories are something you'd like to see more of.
It's incredible. I'll be surprised if you don't get as many, if not more, views than The Chase. And I'm going to try to release this, guys, a week from Saturday, so that you still got. I'll advertise a couple of the remaining theatrical releases you'll still have before it comes out. I think sometime in April. You're thinking for the Air Viper channel, or
Yeah,
sometime before
the film.
Cocodona, maybe.
Yeah, the original thought was to release it like a couple weeks or a week out from the actual race, but we're going to revisit that because the film tour is ending a little sooner than the chase did. And I think it could potentially be good to release it. I'll have to talk to Drew, see what Drew thinks too, but like earlier in April. So that's the plan.
All right. It's incredible. Thank you. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for making the film, and enjoy your warm weather. I got to go back to my snow now.
Thanks, Joey. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Joey. Appreciate
Yeah.
you.
Thanks, guys. Dylan and Drew, thank you for the gift of time to share your stories and the stories of making the Cutoff on my podcast. I am truly moved by the film, and I can't wait for the world to see it, especially those of us who chase the Cutoff every single day. If you want to catch the film on the big screen, there's still time as of the release of this podcast. I'll have a link in the show notes to Airviva's website where you can find the details. And according to Dylan, if you can't make one of the showings, then your wait is not long for the public release. But hey, this film is epic. I recommend if you're not seeing it in the theater, then watch it on the biggest screen you have and with some kick-ass surround sound. This thing is as close to Hollywood as you can get, and this deserves better than your silly little phone. Well, that's it for this time. Until next time, cheers and take care. Keep running, keep moving forward, be relentless. You're all amazing, you're all deserving, and we will cross that finish line.